All right. So, as I said before, More Lamadihu and More Mediyahu are are in the land of Israel, enjoying themselves, uh, looking forward to their return. But we're going to get into the word today, and my topic is going to be don't be ignorant of Hasatan's devices. And there's a war going on for the souls of men, especially for those who are set apart of the household of faith. The enemy is after our families, our spouses, our children, our minds, and he's pulling out all the stops, especially in this current age. You know, he's wasting no expense. There was a line from Shaul's letter that came to my mind uh, in the book of Corinthians. Let's go there. 2 Corinthians 2:11. That one verse. 2 Corinthians 2:11. This is not going to be long. We're not going to be long today. We're going to come back again and close out unleavened bread. 2 Corinthians 2:11. It says, "Lest Hasatan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." Now, in the context, he starts off talking about the forgiveness and the restoration of one who was cut off from the assembly because of a past sinful behavior. But then he warns them to forgive him, lest Hasatan, Satan, should get an advantage of us. Why? Because we are not ignorant of his devices. Now, I ask myself, are we ignorant of Hasatan's devices today? Forgiveness showed to be very important in that matter. You can't have unforgiveness in your heart for your brothers or your sisters. And I'm not just talking about your immediate family. I'm talking about those of the household of faith. We can't hold grudges. We can't be snapping at each other, pulling each other down. We have to resolve our issues because we're going to be. You're talking about being in the kingdom of Elohim forever and ever. You're trying to make it to the kingdom, and you can't be making it to the kingdom talking about, well, I don't like them right now, but when I get in the kingdom, we work it out. You might not make it. You might get to the door, and you might not get in. All right, so we don't want to be ignorant of Hasatan's devices. Now, the Greek word for devices is neoma, which just means the way he thinks, his mind, his scheming, the way he plans. And this whole series that we've been dealing with, Maury been saying, there's a war going on. Right. We're at war. There's a war in the heavens right now. It's constantly raging. It's been going on for a while. And there are things on the earth, there are things in the heaven, there are things on the earth that are operating that's trying to take us out. There are forces that's trying to take us out. A lot of times we like to say we blame it on the devil. There's an old Flip Wilson, the devil made me do it or something. The devil made me do it, And but there are forces in this world out to trip us up. They don't want us to get into the kingdom. They can't get in. They were born of an set apart, an unrighteous seed. Right. So they can't get in. The fallen ones, the fallen Malachim, they say Satan and his angels, they can't get in. So their whole objective is to stop those who have a mind to want to follow Yahuwah all the way. All right? My thought was, are we ignorant, right? To be ignorant means what? Anybody? To be ignorant. What do you mean to be ignorant? To not know and not be aware. There's an old saying that says, what you don't know can't hurt you. But we know better. Say, what you don't know can kill you. Let's go to Hosea 4:6. Hosea 4:6. Hosea 4 verse 6. It's that verse. We're going to go to Isaiah 5:13 for those that might be writing it down. It says, my people are destroyed for the lack of what? Knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. As thou should be no priest to me, seeing that thou hast forgotten the what? The law, the Torah of Elohim. I will forget thy children. And it really is about those children. I'm really focusing about those children. But the people are suffering for the lack of knowledge. There's so much going on out here, and people saying, well, what can we do about the children getting killed in the streets? What can we do about the wrongful imprisonment of our people? What can we do about a lot of things? They say, well, let's go back to the Torah. Let's go back to the law. Let's go back to the word. Let's turn back to the Most High. But he said, if you reject the knowledge, it's not because the knowledge is not there. You just reject it. So he said, I will reject you. Isaiah 5:13. You want to read down, read 13, 14. Isaiah 5:13. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished. Why are they famished? And their multitudes dried up with thirst. Therefore, hell has enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure, and their esteem and their multitudes and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. So why were they famished? Why were they famished? Let's go look at it. Amos 8:11. Amos 8:11. So as you saw that, if something you don't know will kill you. You lack the knowledge, it will destroy you. You get destroyed for the lack of that knowledge. All right, Amos 8:11. Behold, the days come, says Adonai Yahuwah, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, not a thirst for water, but of the hearing of the word of Yahuwah. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from north even to the east. They shall run to and fro, seeking the word of Yahuwah, and shall not find it. And in that day shall the fair virgins and the young men faint for thirst. See, why are they thirsty? Let's go to Jeremiah 2. Jeremiah 2:13. Why are they thirsty? All right. Jeremiah 2:13 says, for my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and they've hewn out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Let's go skip down to Jeremiah 17:12 and 13. It says, a glorious high throne from the beginning is in the place of our sanctuary. O Yahuwah, the hope of Israel, all that forsake thee shall be ashamed, and they that depart from me shall be written in the earth, because they have forsaken Yahuwah, the fountain of living waters. So again, what we don't know can destroy us. So we have to turn back to Abiyah. Now the enemy has really stepped up his game in his current age with all the things that's going on, the different agendas, the things we see happening around us, around the world. It's staggering. And we know that there are dark forces working, right, to deceive as many people as possible in this generation. And it's not just this generation I'm concerned about, right? Because I'm thinking about my children. Yeah, I'm striving all I can to live for Yahuwah. And I got to teach my children. Why? Because I want them to be a part of that generation that loves him, a part of that 1,000 generations that love him. I've been a part of the generations, the third and the fourth generations that have hated him, because that's how we ended up here.
All right.
That's how we got here, because somebody started off and then they stop. Somebody started, then they stop. Somebody started and they stop. Are your children going to live the life after you're gone? Are they going to seek Yahuwah with all their heart after they're gone, after you're gone? Well, the dark forces that are at work, they came from a place. Let's go to Revelations 12:17. I want to touch on it. I know Moray has been teaching on this, and he's going to touch on it a little bit. But I really want to show how the world is being deceived. Revelations 12:7 begins, and there was a war in heaven. Michael and his Malachim fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Shatan, which deceiveth what?
The whole world.
The whole world. Now, the only way you can deceive somebody is they don't believe you exist. All right. He was cast out into the earth, and his Malachims were cast out with him. So he's not by himself, the old serpent, the dragon. He has a myriad of angels with him. We've learned that. Let's go to 1 John 5. We'll start the 17th verse. This whole world is deceived. It lies in wickedness. 1 John 5:17 says, all unrighteousness is what?
Sin.
What is sin?
Transgression of the law.
Transgression of the law. So that means it's unrighteous. All unrighteousness is sin. And there's a sin, what? Not unto death. Not unto death. You want to know what those sins are? You go research it out of the Torah. There are things that you will literally be put to death for. All right? Even after Mashiach has paid for our ultimate sins. But you blaspheme the Ruach HaKodesh, there's no forgiveness of sin for blasphemy of the Ruach HaKodesh. All right? We know that whosoever is born of Elohim sins not, but he that is begotten of Elohim keepeth himself, and the wicked one touches him not. And we know that we are of Elohim, and the whole world does what? Lie in wickedness. So they're being deceived all around us. Now, we were once deceived. We once walked in deception. Just as there are men and women who belong to Yahuwah, Elohim, there are those who work directly for Shatan and his forces. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 11:13. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 13. It says, such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Mashiach. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of what?
Light.
Of light. So, wow, he can kind of blend in. He can change forms. But his intent is still the same. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. And how do we tell a tree? By the fruit it bears, right? All right. We can see evil spirits influencing the hearts of men everywhere, and it seems as though everything has been flipped. Everything is topsy-turvy. Let's go to Isaiah 5, the 18th verse. Isaiah 5.
Like if it's like 11 through 12.
Okay, 18 through 24. Right. Isaiah 5:18 says, woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity and sin, as it were a cart rope, that say, let him make speed and haste his work, that we may see it. They're trying to tempt Yahuwah. And let us counsel, and let the counsel of the set apart one of Israel draw nigh and come, that we may know it. He said, woe unto them that are, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, and put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. You seeing that all around.
Yes, sir.
Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. Whatever, it's all right. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't see no problem with this going on. I have common sense. I have a sense of what's right and what's wrong, and whatever feels good to me. If they're doing that over there, that's them. I don't have nothing to do with that.
That's right.
I'm indifferent about it. Whoa. He said, woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine, and men of strength to mingle with strong drink, which justify the wicked for reward and take away the righteousness of the righteous from him. Therefore, as the fire devours the stubble and the flame consumes the shaft, so their root shall be as rottenness, and their blossoms go up as the dust, because they have cast away what? The law, the Torah of Yahuwah of hosts, and despised the word of the set one of Israel. Right? We call them, we're calling evil good and good evil, putting darkness for light and light for darkness, bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. I'm a man today, I'm a woman tomorrow.
All right.
Uh-oh.
All right. Now.
It's okay.
The Lord knows.
Don't judge me.
He understands.
You know, who are you? He knows my heart. He knows what. See, but we the people of Yah must be sober and vigilant, knowing that the enemy wants to distract and destroy us. Right? He wants not only us, but especially on our children. So like I said, it's about the children. All right. Let's go to 1 Peter 5, 8. I'm going to read out of ESV, but we're going to read 1 Peter 5 and 8. First Peter 5, 8, and 9. 5, 8, and 9 says, be sober-minded. Remember, I'm reading out of ESV. Be sober-minded, be watchful, for your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Resist him, firm in your faith. You got to be firm in your faith. You got to know where you stand. You can't be wishy-washy. You can't be saying you're walking with the Most High. You can't be saying you're serving the Mashiach and then say everything is all right that they're doing. It's okay. Because if Yahuwah says something is an abomination, it's an abomination.
That's right.
If he said it's righteous, then it's righteous. We don't make the determination of what something is or is not. It is not our judgment that we go by. He said, if we're going to judge righteous judgment, and there's only one righteous judge, Yahuwah. So if Yahuwah says it's wrong, then I'm going by what Yahuwah says.
That's right.
He judged it already. It's wrong. So if somebody gets upset with me, you're not upset with me. I didn't judge you. The word judges you. His word is already judged. The sentence is already set. If you continue in that path, that's on you. Stand firm in your faith, knowing that the same kind of sufferings are being experienced by your brothers throughout the world. So we're not the only ones catching it here in America. You know, they're catching it everywhere. It is up to us to resist him, and not just for ourselves, but for our children. When I first came into the truth, I remember reading the Shema for the first time, and it seems like those words just, echoed in my mind. I remember reading it. I had my children read it. Let's go to Devarim 6 and 4. We cited it earlier. Devarim 6, 4. We're going to go through the 7th verse.
What was it again?
Deuteronomy 6 and 4 through 7. You read it earlier, Shema. You're going to read it here. It says, hear, O Israel, Yahuwah Elohim is one Yahuwah. And thou shalt love Yahuwah thy Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might, right? Thy strength. And these words which I command you today shall be in thine heart. And then he gives some specific instructions about the children. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, right? And she'll talk to them when you sit in the house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And I read that, I was like, oh my goodness, have I been neglecting my children? This is something that we're supposed to be impressing to them diligently.
Yes.
That means constantly. It should be a part of that. We're going to talk about today. I'm going to mention it today. We're going to talk about other things, but I'm going to talk about Yahuwah. I want to impress upon you the dangers of what's going on around you and why you need to stay with him and walk this path out. So I began to realize how important it was to teach my children. I was grateful that I was coming into the knowledge of the truth and that I could see the influence of wickedness all around me. And I began to understand it's not just about my salvation, but the saving of my whole household. I don't want to just make it and turn around and realize nobody else in my lineage made it. I'll be glad to be the only one now. But I would like to see my children, my Yeladim, my grandchildren, those in my lineage make it. I want to see my mom and dad. We always talk about we'll see you when we get over there.
Right.
If I see you when I get over there and we both standing in the line for the lake, I don't want to see you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see you. If we stand in the line on the judgment day and it's both good work, our good and faithful servant, enter into the joy. Oh, yeah. I want to see all my people on that side. But when we on the other side and we stand in the line for the lake, no, I don't want to talk to you because you neglected training me. And then my children are not going to want to see me because I neglected training them. Right? I didn't pass it along. All right. So as I look closer, I begin to see the stranglehold the fallen ones have on our current society, and the real target are our children. The enemy wants our children, and we can't afford to let them go out into the world ignorant of the spiritual warfare being waged against them. It's in the educational system. That's why many of us talk about homeschooling our children. They're pushing it, the homosexual agenda on our kids.
Yes, they are.
They say, what is your pronoun? What is your pronoun? What do you see yourself as? You got a little 5-year-old or 6-year-old. What is your pronoun? Oh, I'm a boy, but I look at myself as a girl. I'm a girl, but I see myself as a he. I have a gender, but I see myself as it. So now they're giving them a choice to go against the creation of Elohim and what was given them. This is a prominent doctrine in the earth today. It is happening as we speak. California schools have started already. There's other schools, and pretty soon it's going to that agenda is going to flood every state in the union, just like that marijuana, right? It started in a little spot, now it's starting to spread like cancer, just like same-sex marriage. It started in one little spot and started to spread like cancer. That's how sin works. All right. And so it's in our educational system. We see it in the music industry. We see it in the video games, see it in the television, see it in the movies. Even as we attempt to steer them away and steer our children away from these certain elements, peer pressure forces them or causes them to conform to the group. So you're trying to do the right things in the home, but we send them out to school. And guess what? They learn a whole new vocabulary. Everything that we didn't teach them in the house, they learn out there, right? And you're scratching your head. Why are you doing this? Why are you saying these things? Why are you listening to this? What is going on? You're trying to figure out how to rein them back in. That's why community is so important. And that's our desire to become that community. But we can have our kids around our kids. Those that have the same kind of values. Because if they're in society and they're following the things of society, they're going to be levitating to those things. They're not going to want to be like Yahuwah. They're going to be like Jay-Z.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They don't want to be like the people of the Most High. They want to be like the people they see on TV. That's right. And in the movies and in the music industry, right? They want to entertain us that way. We all know that. We all know how it was to be young, to fit in with our peers, even as adults. In times past, I'm not going to say right now, in times past, we found ourselves going alone to get along, so we can belong. So going along to get along, well, so what, Jack, he got a little sugar in his tank, it's all right. So what, this woman or this man, they both married, but they seeing each other. This ain't my business, but I'm hanging around this and I'm just letting it go like it ain't no big deal. Right, but it's really a big deal if it's going on in the assembly and nobody say nothing about it. That's that leaven that we had to get rid of, right? All right. Now, one of Hashatan's devices is hiding things in plain sight. Now, I woke up this morning from a dream, and I said, "Thank you, Father," because He was telling me this. Like, wow, that's so true. In plain sight, does Hashatan hide everything? In plain sight, and if he can get you to believe that He doesn't exist or they don't exist, then He'll push His agenda right in your face because you don't believe that it really exists. You know, all of a sudden, how many movies out there talking about the coming attack of the earth? All of a sudden, it's just movies constantly coming attack of the earth. The earth is going to be destroyed. Something coming down from the sky going to be visiting with us, just trying to, desensitize the people. All right. How many more movies are talking about demonic creatures being released in the earth? Oh, that's just a movie. Oh, that's just entertainment. Ain't nobody saying ain't stuff that don't really happen. They're trying to get you to fall in love with Satan. Got Lucifer. He's a nice guy. He's really benevolent. Keeps his promise. It's the father that's the wicked manipulator, huh? Everybody just looking at that, What about you got shows that promote witchcraft and covetousness? You want to live like me. You want to be like me. You want to be a baller. How can you get these things? How can you live alternate lifestyles? You live that alternate lifestyle. You got a movie out right now, say to be called by your name. When I say that, usually it reminds me of something the scriptures say. But that movie is about a young man falling in love with another man. Oh, yes. Just to be called by your name. You say, why is all this happening? Why? Because He wants to desensitize us.
Yes.
Desensitize the world. Our children are growing up in a world that is much different than most of us grew up in. What would used to be morally absolute, right and wrong, this is black and white. There's no gray area. Morally absolute has now become ambiguous, It depends on who you are, But the new law of Satan is what? The law of Satan is do what thy will. Mm-hmm. New Orleans said like this, do what you want to. That's how we say it down there. Do what you want. Whatever you feel like, that's why it's called sincere. You can do what you want. However you feel like doing it. If it feels good, do it, baby. Everything in Yah's word, everything in the word of Yah that is against or that seems perverse, seems to be highly esteemed. And everything that is highly esteemed among men is an abomination to Yah. Let's go to Luke 16:15. Don't worry, I'm almost.
Take your time.
I'm almost done. I ain't gonna hold you much longer.
Just that one verse.
Yeah, we're gonna go to just that one. And then we're gonna go to Proverbs 11 and 20. Luke 16:15 says, and He said unto them, ye are they that justify yourselves before men, and Elohim knows your heart, right? For that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination in the sight of Elohim. Remember that Elohim knows your hearts. Proverbs 11 and 20. They that are of a forward heart are abominations to Yahuwah. But such as are of a upright in their ways is His delight. The forward heart, the perverse heart. We have to teach our children not to just blindly follow their hearts and not just blindly trust people, but we must prove everything. Let's go to Jeremiah 17 again. This time we're going to start at the 5th verse and work our way to the 10th verse. Okay. 17, 5 through 10. Jeremiah 17, 5 through 10. Jeremiah 5 through 10 says this. Thus says Yahuwah, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from Yahuwah. Your heart departs from Yahuwah. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabited. But blessed is the man that trusts in Yahuwah, and whose hope is Yahuwah is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and spread her roots by the river, and shall not see when the heat cometh. But her leaf shall be green, and shall be careful in the year of drought, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. Number 9, verse 9. The heart is deceitful above what?
All things.
All things, and desperately wicked. Who can know it? He said, I, Yahuwah, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his way and according to the fruits of his doing. Right? The fruit of his doing. So he's trying our hearts. He's going to try our children's heart. And we have to let them know this. The enemy wants your heart. He wants your mind.
Yes.
And if he gets your mind, he can get your body. And you don't want to be said too late. It's the young man we saw on Facebook. They showed it live. They're sitting in the car playing with a weapon. Just like that, the weapon goes off. The young man, it showed him pass away on screen.
Yep.
It was happened that quick. And I saw the life leave the man's eyes. I'm like, oh my goodness. It happens just that quick, and our children don't realize sometimes the danger they could be in. And you have to be aware of their surroundings. Call it situational awareness. You can't just go everywhere with everybody. You can't do everything with everybody. You got to know where you stand. All right. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians 5:21. I said we got to prove all things. Okay? We got to test all things. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. It says this one verse: prove all things, and then hold fast to that which is good. That's why we go back and we study the word for ourselves. We love our Moreh. We love our Hebrew teachers. But we want to make sure that we know and understand this word for ourselves. And if they go wrong, we want to be able to say, hey, you're wrong. And if they don't want to correct it, then we have either they're going to move or we're going to move. That's how that works. Either they moving or we moving. Yeah. All right. Let's go to 1 John 4. We'll do 1 John 4, 1 through 3. We're almost done. Almost done. 1 John 4 says, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of Elohim, because many false prophets are gone into the world, whereby ye know the spirit of Elohim. Every spirit that confesses that Yahushua HaMashiach is come in the flesh is of Elohim. And every spirit that confesses not that Yahushua HaMashiach is come in the flesh is not of Elohim. And this is the spirit of Anti-Mashiach. That means the opposite. That means the one that opposes. Everything that opposes the way and the will of Mashiach, the way of Yahuwah, is anti-Mashiach. It's opposite. That's as simple as that. So if he says, hey, keep the commandments, and the other one says, oh, you ain't got to keep the commandments, well, that's how you know anti-Mashiach. Mashiach says, keep the commandments. If you love me, you'll keep the commandments, right? If the anti-Mashiach say, oh, you don't have to do that no more. So that you know that's anti-Mashiach. That's the opposite of what the Mashiach has said. You say, if you think, well, let's see, I didn't go there, but we can go to 1 John. Let's go to 1 John. I just want to go there right quick. 1 John chapter 2. First John chapter 2. Let's read. You know where I want to go. All right, let's go to verse 3. Verse 3 says, And hereby we do know that we know him. This is how we know Mashiach.
Right.
If we keep his commandments. He that says, I know him and keep not his commandments is a what?
A liar.
A liar, and the truth is not in them. All right? So we got to know what the truth is. But whosoever keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of Elohim perfected. Hereby we know that we are what? In him. All right. Going back to John, 1 John 4:3. Wherefore ye have heard that it should come, the spirit of Antichrist, even now is already in the world. So we can see that clearly around us.
Yeah.
We'll say the Father says this is the way we ought to live. The world says, no, we don't have to do that. That's against my civil liberties. It's against my equal rights. I think I don't have to do this because I feel, my God says that I can, my God doesn't judge like that. My God loves. Well, you're right. That's your God. And you realize there are many gods. There are many gods. But if you're not serving the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, it's really the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? He called himself the Elohim of the Hebrews. So if you're not serving him and following his command, then guess what? You're following some other deity, and you just don't know who it is because you just call him God. Because what's his name?
Yahuwah. His title, Elohim.
Yeah. All right. All right. In closing, we're gonna close it out right now. I told y'all we're gonna be long. In closing, let's go to 2 Corinthians 10:3. All right. We have to know the weapons of our warfare, not carnal. 10:3-5. And then we're going to go to Ephesians 6:10. Almost done. All right. 2 Corinthians 10:3 says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Elohim to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Elohim, bringing to captivity every thought of obedience to obedience to Mashiach. Right? We got to cast down those vain imaginations. Remember that word, yitzah, that he introduced us to in the Hebrew, thoughts, intent, imagination. Yeah. All those wicked imaginations that are out there that are just infiltrating our children. That's why we have to watch what they watch. We have to listen to what they're listening to find out, do you understand what you're listening to? Do you really get the concept of what's going on in the music? Do you realize that they're trying to over-sexualize you in some of those songs to get you to do things that your parents wouldn't want you to do?
Right.
And if a person tries to encourage you, you should beware of that person. Young man tries to entice a young woman from her virginity, she should run. He's not good for you. He means you no well. If he tells you, if you love me, he said, you should respond, if you love me, keep my commands. Keep walking. If you love me, keep the command. You know what I'm saying? I said, if you really want me, you do like Joseph and wait 7 years and we get together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let's see if you can do that. All right. But we be conscious of all these things that are plaguing our kids. I mean, it's a major agenda out there, and it's steamrolling people. Christian church can't handle it. They just folded. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But those who are of the light, those who walk in truth and understand, don't compromise on your job. Don't compromise. No, we don't do that. No, I don't agree with that. He that way? Well, look, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. Don't ask, don't tell. Look, don't ask me if it's okay. Because if you don't like, you're gonna like my answer. But when I tell you the answer, it's gonna be the answer. You can't go what do you call it, HR or equal opportunity, talking about he's bigger. No. As long as you stay over there, do your job, I'm gonna do my job. But if you try to bring that lifestyle this way, I'm gonna correct it. I'm gonna correct it. And then you know where I stand. Let the light shine. All right, Ephesians 10, 6 and 10. You're right, thank you. Correction. Ephesians 6, 10. All right. Finally, my brother, be strong in Yahuwah and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Elohim, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this world. Where they ruling? Of this world. How do you know they ruling? You can see the influence in everything. They poison the food. You know, you got my son said, how did you get in the garden? Well, when he started getting in the garden, and say, well, when you start realizing they're poisoning the food, you need something to eat. And you can't go to the grocery store because stuff be plastic. They made plastic cabbage. So they took a piece of cabbage and made a whole cabbage out of plastic. And they got a woman bring cabbage from the stove and burn it on. Don't even burn. Leaf don't burn on the stove. I'm like, in the fire, directly in the flame. How is that possible?
Plastic water too.
Plastic water, yeah, that's recent. The bottled water. You got to be careful what you drink. There's an active plan to kind of decrease the population of the world. Yeah. And they usually start with the melanated peoples.
That's right. That's right.
All right? There is an active plan in the world. So you got to know what's going on around you. Be aware. Keep your head on the swivel, as we say in the military. Being situationally aware. Knowing that everybody don't mean you good. They're generating foods, these GMOs, and they're just putting them out there on us. And it causes us all kinds of health issues, all kinds of cancers developing in our bodies. That's why Yahuwah gave us a dietary law. And he gave us the herbs for the healing of the body, right? So we have to know how to use those things. But there's rulers of darkness of this world against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's what we're dealing with. 13. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Elohim, that you may be able to withstand the evil day, and having done all to stand. Right? Stand therefore, having your loins girded about with truth, having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the what?
The word of Elohim.
The word of Elohim. You got to practice with your sword now. You don't want to cut yourself, but it is two-edged. It cuts both coming and going. So before I'm cutting you, I'm cutting me. You know what I'm saying? It goes with me first. It's my heart first. It's my mind first. It's me first. What am I doing? Am I doing it right? That's how you always approach it. Am I walking up right? Do I have all the leaven out of my life, all the bad doctrine, all the bad people, the things that influence me in the wrong ways out of my life? I'm watching around me, watching. When I started talking about truth, I used to talk to my family all the time. I started talking about truth, my family put me away. I can't call me like, yeah, okay. Soon we start talking about, they want to mention how good God is. And then I want to mention how good Yahuwah is.
All right.
And all of a sudden, no one talk no more. And I said, I thought we was talking about the same person. We reading the King James Bible, we talking about the same thing, ain't we? No, we ain't. We talking about something different. Oh, okay. They don't want to talk about that with me. You know what I'm saying? I start mentioning things because sometimes you want to ignore facts. We want to ignore history. I was like that when I first heard there was that the Messiah wasn't called Jesus. I was like, what?
What?
No. Jesus.
That's right.
Jesus. Yeah. No, you can't tell me. And then I started looking, and I started reading the comment. I was reading my Bible, and the commentator in the scriptures that wrote the Bible said, well, he wasn't called Jesus when he walked earth. I said, what? Then what name was I calling?
Wow.
He said, there's no other name under heaven by which men can be saved. And if you're telling me in my Bible that they didn't call him that when he walked earth, then what his mama called him? Because I'm going to call him what his mama called him, right? All right. So I began to realize that sometimes we'll start ignoring facts in history. And instead of looking at it for what it is, and say, well, some man decided to change it, and then we just went along with it. Now, once you learn the facts, then you try to change your position. And that means you're turning towards him. As I started learning him, I'm like, oh, wow, he started taking me to a whole nother level, whole nother understanding. He's calling me out of what I was in, that old doctrine.
You set apart.
Yeah, he told me that. Just come on out, and I'll be your Elohim, and you'll be my people. All right? Let's see what else we got here. 17. No, we already 17. Word of Elohim. 18. Pray always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, watching unto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. So prayer is one of those weapons too. We got to pray for one another. Pray for one another constantly, because you don't know what each of us are going through. We all got something going on, so we got to make sure we lift each other up. Some days we got good days. Some days, some days we got bad days. Let's go to 1 Samuel. I want you to remember these two things. 1 Samuel 17 and 47. I want you to put this in your mind. You know it already. Know it already. 1 Samuel 17, 47. It says, and all these assembled shall know that Yahuwah saves not with the sword and spear, for the battle is Yahuwah's, and he will give it into your hands. So the battle in large belongs to Yahuwah. All right. And then the last verse, very last verse, it's closing. Let's go to Psalm 68 and 1. Psalm 68 and 1 says, let Elohim arise and let his enemies be scattered, and let them also that hate him flee before him. Amen? Amen. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Any questions? Told you it wasn't going to be long. If we have no questions, then we're going to, our hearts and minds are clear. Yeah. But then, they got several people on there. All right. My brother Michael, you want to close us out in prayer?
Okay. Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
On here, it's a lot of the mystical call the family saying, pray for them and their children, because a lot of the children are being attacked by the enemy and causing them to go astray.
Oh yeah, it's very difficult raising teenagers, especially when you just coming into the truth and you got teenagers or you got young adults. All right, maybe we can get a little away with it with the babies. We kind of groom them a little better, but you grew up in the world already, raising your teenagers to let them do what they want to do, pretty much, and how they like to do it. And it's difficult. We will keep them in prayer. And so I know I got teenagers.
One thing, I have a neighbor who's a teacher, and she said one of her students, which is female, went to the ladies' room. And while she was in the ladies' room, the other girls were lesbians, forced themselves on this, this straight girl. So these things are happening in the public school system.
Yes, they are.
So this is why we have to pray and cover our children.
Oh, yes.
Because we don't know what they're faced with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Aki?
for the word you gave us today. So for the plan that you set in order, the tools you've given us to recognize the attacks of the enemy, to recognize when we see them, the tools you've given us to win fights, to defeat them. We ask you to protect us, to guide us, to order our steps, and to rock our hands, Father, that you will give us a mind and a heart, Father, that we just take what we learned today and not just let it leave this room when we leave, Father, that it goes with us, we may be able to apply it in our lives and teach it to someone else, Father. We ask you to continue to look out for our loved ones, the young people coming behind us in our lineage, those that don't even know, those that are friends of ours, and their children, whether the parent is righteous in your word or not. We just pray for all the young people that are coming up with things that we never even thought we'd have to face. We know that they are going to have challenges that we never even thought of. And Father, your word is true now, just as it was back then, and shall be true in the future, Father. That you've still given us the power to succeed, Father. We lift you up and bless you and thank you. We ask you to keep us safe, keep us girded together in unity until we're gathered together again. We thank you for strengthening us as we seek to carry out these days of unleavened, Father. We ask you to continually show us the leaven that may be in our homes and our hearts, so we may continue to be better today than we were yesterday, Father. Yes. We lift you up and bless you. We thank you. We ask you all these things in the name of Shalom Mashiach, to the words that whatever we ask to do in his name, we set out to do. We lift you up and bless you. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. Hallelujah. Fuse meeting. You got it.
It's the fuse.
For lesson point.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.